Are you gonna tell them how to make money by teaching a language, or are you gonna take a shower? Dude, it's been a month, you f***ing smell. Shut up, it's recording. Hello everyone, my name is Alan, and I'm here to share with you some of my best tips and tricks for teaching a language effectively. Whether you're a seasoned pro or a newcomer to the world of language teaching, I hope that these tips will help you find success in the classroom. Step 1. Get to know your students. Before you even start teaching a lesson, it's important to get to know your students and their individual needs and learning styles. This can be as simple as having a one-on-one conversation with each student at the beginning of the school year or using assessments to gauge their strengths and weaknesses. By understanding your students' unique needs, you can tailor your lessons to better suit their learning style and ensure their success. For example, let's say you have a student named Olivia who is a visual learner. In order to engage her in your lessons, you might consider using visual aids, such as diagrams or images, to supplement your teaching. On the other hand, if you have a student who is more of an auditory learner, you might consider incorporating more listening exercises or group discussions into your lessons. So, understanding your students' unique needs will help you tailor your lessons and ensure the success. Just like how understanding your friend's pizza preferences will help you tailor your order and avoid any awkward anchovy situations. Anchovies! Sounds a lot like something you do. Yeah, whatever. Step 2. Use a variety of teaching methods. No one learns the same way, which is why it's important to use a variety of teaching methods to engage all of your students. This can include things like lectures, group work, hands-on activities, and technology. Mixing up your teaching style not only keeps your students engaged, but it also helps them retain information better. For example, let's say you have a lesson on verb conjugation. You might start by giving a lecture on the basics of verb conjugation, followed by a group activity where students work together to practice conjugating verbs. You might also consider incorporating technology, such as an interactive verb conjugation game, to give your students a different way to practice. But seriously, mixing up your teaching style not only keeps your students engaged, but it also helps them retain information better. Just like how a diverse playlist keeps a party going and avoids any awkward heavy metal solo situations. Hey, what's wrong with heavy metal? Step 3. Incorporate real-life examples and cultural elements. One of the most effective ways to teach a language is to connect it to real-life situations and cultural elements. This can include using authentic materials, such as news articles or podcasts, and incorporating cultural traditions or holidays into your lessons. By making the language relevant and meaningful to your students, they will be more motivated to learn and retain the information. Let's say you're teaching a lesson on the Spanish language and culture. You might start by discussing traditional Spanish dishes, such as paella or churros, and then incorporate those dishes into a lesson on food vocabulary. You might also consider having your students research a traditional Spanish holiday, such as Semana Santa, and present their findings to the class. By incorporating these cultural elements into your lessons, you can help your students develop a deeper understanding and appreciation of the language and culture. Just make sure you don't accidentally teach your students that paella is pronounced paella, or you'll have a whole class of confused foodies on your hands. Step 4. Practice, practice, practice. As with any skill, practice is key when it comes to learning a new language. Encourage your students to speak and write in the language as much as possible, both in and out of the classroom. This can be through homework assignments, group projects, or even just casual conversation. The more they practice, the more confident and proficient they will become. For example, let's say you have a lesson on basic conversation skills. You might start by teaching your students some basic phrases such as "Hello, how are you?" and "My name is Olivia." You could then have them practice these phrases in a small groups or even have them role-play a conversation with a partner. The more they practice speaking and listening to the language, the more confident and proficient they will become. Just make sure you don't have your students practice their conversation skills by yelling at each other across the room in their best attempts at a foreign accent. Your neighbors might not appreciate the sudden Sergeant Loud pseudo-Spanish chatter coming from a classroom. Who's Olivia? She's the one that offers me cookies. Step 5. Encourage creativity and encourage students to make mistakes. Learning a new language is not easy, and it's important to create a safe and supportive learning environment where students feel comfortable making mistakes. Encourage your students to be creative and try new things, even if they make mistakes. This not only helps them build confidence, but it also helps them learn and retain the language better. For example, let's say you have a lesson on verb tenses. You might start by teaching your students the basics of present, past, and future tenses. and then give them a creative writing assignment where they have to use all three tenses in a story. Encourage them to think outside the box and be creative with their storytelling, even if they make mistakes with the verb tenses. The more they practice and experiment with the language, the better they will become. However, ensure you don't accidentally encourage your students to get too creative with the verb tenses. You might end up with a story about a chicken that traveled back in time to lay eggs in the future. It's important to encourage creativity, but maybe stick to more realistic scenarios for verb tense practice. Step 6. Use technology to your advantage. In today's world, technology is a powerful tool that can enhance language learning in countless ways. There are many great language learning apps and websites that can provide your students with additional practice and resources, such as Duolingo, Rosetta Stone, and Babbel. You can also use technology in the classroom, such as using video clips or interactive games to supplement your lessons. Just be sure to find a balance and not rely too heavily on technology, as it's important for your students to have a well-rounded language learning experience. Say you have a lesson on basic vocabulary. You might start by teaching your students some basic words and phrases, and then have them use a language learning app to practice and reinforce the learning. You might also consider using an interactive game or quiz to test their knowledge and keep them engaged. Just be sure to find a balance and not rely too heavily on technology, as it's important for your students to have a well-rounded language learning experience. But please, don't get too reliant on technology for language learning. You might end up with a classroom full of students who can perfectly recite the names of various emojis but can't hold a conversation with a real-life human being in the language they're learning. Step 7. Celebrate your students' successes. Learning a new language is a huge accomplishment, and it's important to celebrate your students' successes along the way. This can be as simple as giving verbal praise or providing small rewards for reaching certain milestones. By recognizing their hard work and progress, you will not only boost their confidence, but you will also keep them motivated to continue learning. For example, imagine Olivia. There she is again. Who is she? Who has made significant progress in learning a new language. You might consider giving her a small reward, such as a sticker or a certificate of achievement, to recognize her hard work. You could also have a class celebration, where you all share your favorite memories and achievements from the school year. By celebrating your students' successes, you can not only boost their confidence, but you can also keep them motivated to continue learning and improving. Just make sure you don't go too crazy with the rewards for your language learning superstars. You don't want to end up with a classroom full of students who expect a trophy just for remembering how to say please and thank you in their new language. Here is a list of platforms to get you started on your journey of teaching. Number 1. italki. italki is a platform that connects language teachers with students who want to learn a new language. Teachers can create their own profiles, set their own rates, and schedule lessons with students from all over the world. Number 2. Preply. Preply is a platform that connects language teachers with students for one-on-one language lessons. Teachers can create their own profiles, set their own rates, and schedule lessons with students from all over the world. Number 3. Verbling. Verbling is a platform that connects language teachers with students for one-on-one language lessons. Teachers can create their own profiles, set their own rates, and schedule lessons with students from all over the world. Number 4. �սկīma_Talk. �սկīma_Talk is a platform that connects language teachers with students for one-on-one language lessons. Teachers can create their own profiles, set their own rates, and schedule lessons with students from all over the world. Number 5. italki for Business. italki for Business is a platform that connects language teachers with companies or organizations that want to provide language training for their employees. Teachers can create their own profiles, set their own rates, and schedule lessons with students from all over the world. Before starting to teach on any of these platforms, it is important to be well prepared and knowledgeable about the language you will be teaching. It can also be helpful to have some teaching experience or a teaching certification, as well as a strong internet connection and a reliable computer or device. In conclusion, teaching a language effectively requires a combination of getting to know your students, using a variety of teaching methods, incorporating real-life examples and cultural elements, practicing regularly, encouraging creativity and making mistakes, using technology to your advantage, and celebrating your students' successes. By following these tips, you can help your students develop a strong foundation in the language and set them up for success in the future. You didn't answer the most important question. Who is Shut it? Does she know you smell?